KCR College Radio, San Diego State. This is DJ Bouzy with no other than SaidTheSky.
What's up, guys?
He is performing today at Nova here in San Diego, and KCR has given us the time to chat. Trevor, how are we feeling?
Feeling great. Feeling really good.
Great.
Yeah, I just drove in from LA. It was a nice little drive. Yeah, feeling good.
We really appreciate you taking the time to come out.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I guess we're just going to start off pretty simple and talk about your early career.
Yeah.
So you are a Colorado native.
Yes, sir.
Specifically Arvada, if I'm saying.
Arvada,
very cool.
Yeah.
Tell us about growing up in Colorado with such a prominent bass scene really emerging out of there and how that's kind of influenced your sound.
I think the first electronic music that I listened to was a weird combo of like post-hardcore stuff.
Oh, wow.
Like Asking Alexandria, We Came as Romans, Attack. That whole scene, which was like pretty heavy. They'd have these like synth elements in there, or like a bridge in the back half of the song.
Electronic music.
Exactly, yeah. There was like this beautiful part. And then it wasn't until maybe middle school or high school that I had a buddy who introduced me to like trance music and like progressive house. And I was like, oh, like Sasha and Digweed and all that. It was like full songs of those parts in the post-hardcore songs that I was really into.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, there's a whole genre of just
dedicated to this.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's cool. On. Yeah, that's kind of how I found my way into electronic stuff.
I think that we can definitely see that throughout your career, just within the blendings of genres that you have within your albums. I mean, even starting back all the way in your debut record, there was so much genre blending, the post-punk influences coming in, just even with the vocalist choice and everything. So
nice.
Definitely could see that.
Awesome.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Tell me about Berkeley. Tell me about going to Berkeley College of Music. Tell me about how that whole experience has really shaped your career trajectory.
It was great. I was only there for 2 semesters, so not too long. My favorite part of going to a music school, for anybody who's thinking about going to a school just for music, living in and being surrounded by people that are like-minded and have the same interests as you. So like any conversation that you strike is started with like, hey, like what do you play? Or like what do you listen to? Like that's just how every single conversation started, which is really cool to be just in that all the time.
Of course, yeah, it's a creative space, tons of musicians.
Exactly. So I think, and the school was cool. Like the first semester I was there, got like a 3.8, did all my homework, studied, was like very focused on my classes.
Gotcha.
And then the second semester I was like, okay, what if I just spend time on my laptop and ditch? I'm not saying you should ditch classes.
Not saying ditch classes.
I realized I was like, okay, the things that I actually really want to be doing are not in these classes that I'm taking, unfortunately. So I spent a lot more time just like in my dorm on my laptop,
cooking
just, like,
on your
trying
laptop.
to figure things out. Yeah.
Tell us about your laptop. Tell us about DAWs. What is your typical DAW of choice?
Ableton. But I've kind of gone all over the place. I started in Pro Tools, actually. I learned Pro Tools in high school.
Pro Tools?
Yep. Then got into Reason, weird enough.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, that did not last very long. And then I found Ableton and was like, wow, this is like really nice and like cyclical. Like the workflow just made way more sense to me. So I've been in that ever since, yeah.
And Ableton's been very industry standard, I think, especially within like the dubstep sort of bass scene. Overall, it's
a lot of people use FL too, like a lot of new like trap kids and stuff. They're ripping
big time.
FL.
It can't be in San Diego without talking about ISO now.
Yeah,
our boys are on FL.
Hell yeah.
You guys opened with Smack Talk. You and Dabin at SaidTheSky for the Lost Land set that you all just did.
Hell yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that. Tell me about your relationship with Julian and Richard. And
I've never met them before. But we love their music.
You just love their music. And you just support it. Hell
it's incredible. Yeah, that's how maybe half of the music industry is. Like you meet the people that you can meet when you do, and then it's near impossible unless you're a very extroverted, outgoing person who's trying to like meet people all the time, which is not me at all. I'm very much an introvert, very much homebody. But like I love being home or in the studio, just working on music or hanging out, you know. That's kind of my vibe most of the time. So when it happens, you let it happen naturally, but I'm not like the person to go out there and try and like force connections or anything.
Let's talk about the value of having connections then when you're in the EDM scene with Seeking Blue. How do those connections kind of foster, and where would you say the grounds are that creates, I guess, the spark for those collaborations and such?
Seeking Blue has always been like one of my favorite labels. Like I remember when I was first starting music, they had their Suicide Sheep YouTube, which is still around. But like that was a YouTube channel that I was obsessed with. Would listen to everything that was on that channel.
Mr. Suicide Sheep. a staple.
Is the best,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And so as soon as they had, I can't remember what the first song was of mine that they put on their channel, but they reached out and they were like, yeah, we want to upload it to the channel, and I freaked out. And then I think the first album I put out was with that label, and now I'm happy to say I'm back with them for this album that's coming out. For me, it's more cool to meet people that you like genuinely like fuck with. You know what I mean? Like the people that you're just like, everybody over at Seeking Blue is like, they're some of the kindest, unselfish, and
kind of grounded,
very grounded. Just they're very genuine people. Like they're they want to see what your vision is. Yeah. They want to get all of your creative juices going and figure out what it is that you want and do whatever they can to like support that as much as they can, as opposed to being like, oh well, you should do this. This might work better. Looking at it from like, how do we make this sell the best? You know, which is their job.
Of course,
you know,
right? Maximize profits.
Yeah.
You know.
Whereas Seeking Blue is just like, let's make the coolest art we can possibly make. What's your vision, and how do we enhance it as much as we can? Which is really cool.
A lot of the sound that has been kind of pioneered around the melodic scene is one that is so grounded in humanity. When we're talking about, you know, drivers of this music that really emerged, because immediately when I found your music in 2018, 2019, it was given to me, Porter Robinson, which was obviously like,
that's an honor.
I think, no,
that's sick.
He's one of those artists that I think is your artist's favorite artist. And totally. You can really kind of find those influences coming in. Even taking that a step back further and seeing where Porter gathers his influences, these are all, you know, within those melodic niches of, you know, pop and electronic fusion.
Right. He does a very, very good job of, which I don't think, a lot of artists do this, but a lot of artists also don't. Like I've noticed a lot of artists in the bass scene, or in any scene, it doesn't matter what genre you're looking at.
Right.
Pull influence from that genre. I'm making trap music. What are the other what are ISO and Nocti doing? You know, like how do I do that? As opposed to like, what's All Time Low doing right now? Like a pop punk band, or like what's M83 doing? You know, it's like looking at artists outside of your direct like umbrella, I guess. And I think Porter does a very, very good job of, he has the music that he listens to, which I don't think, I'm fully guessing it. I've never confirmed this with him.
Right, of course.
But I think he listens to a lot of stuff that's very out of the wheelhouse of the EDM kind of scene.
Absolutely,
and he takes that and blends it into a world and like into an album that can fit in our current scene very well. Yeah. So it feels so fresh, and it is very fresh to everybody that's in there.
Exactly.
Because it's pulling from stuff that's so far removed from EDM.
This upcoming project that you have, where you are going to not only be taking influences, but also have collaborators on board that are kind of within that lane. Tell us about Closer to the Sun.
Yeah.
Tell us about the creative direction that is going into that album, and some exciting collaborators that you have.
Yeah. So I can't really talk too much about the collab. I want people to find those as their songs come out. You know?
Gotcha.
All of which are incredible, and I'm so excited to share for everybody to hear them. But so Sentiment, the last album that I did, was very much alt rock, pop punk.
Absolutely.
Infused. Yes. This one, I'm kind of going backwards a little bit and going back to, like, Wide Eyed was much more just an electronic album.
Yeah, melodic.
So kind of going back to that a little bit. There's still a song or two in there that has some pop punk. I wanted to bring that back a little bit, but for the most part, it's kind of returning a little bit to what I started in with this music, you know, and just like very happy electronic music.
Exactly, yeah, euphoric. Very cool.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that everybody is extremely stoked for the album. I know that the drop literally just happened earlier today.
Yeah.
So you guys are probably in the full forces of that whole rollout. I did have one question as it pertains to music videos and your creative direction with that, because you have these beautifully shot music videos that really kind of have their own narrative in and on its own.
So the majority of it is this girl Lily, who it like directs and gets all of the music video stuff like written and figured out how we're gonna shoot it. I'll kind of start from an idea that I have, like I'll send a rough idea of like, this is the theme of the music and like the vibe of what's happening, and she'll be able to take that and really like distinct and specific story to weave and get the shots exactly that we need to shoot. Outside of just the theme and like the general story and vibe that I have for the album, she'll get something specific to tie everything together in the videos. She's great. She's brilliant.
That's incredible. That's incredible.
She's
wow.
awesome.
So there's a lot more creative forces here.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The whole. It's always a team effort. Like there's working on producing all the music, but also a lot of the top lines are coming from the vocalist. You know, sometimes it'll be me and the vocalist in a studio and we'll get it out together, or it's a vocal, like a top line that somebody sends me and I'm like, this is perfect, and then I just support it and produce it around. Yeah, exactly. So there's always so many other people involved in making it, you know, what it is.
Our time is wrapping up, so I'm going to ask you one final question here to leave you with, and it's kind of coming from a bit of a selfish place, being a melodic bass producer myself, but what advice do you have to give to anybody who is looking to do exactly what it is that you are right now, where in EDM has historically been kind of neglected? You're continuing to push that album format. What type of advice do you have, and lessons learned, per se, for people that are just getting their start and really trying to form themselves as artists?
That's a really good question, because the way that I came up is ass backwards from the way that, like today it's all social media. It's
grinding in the underground, TikTok, blowing off of a remix, right?
Exactly, yeah. But I'd say as far as like the content in the artistry, as far as that goes, I'm a very big advocate for kind of ignoring trends or not like intentionally and being like, I'm not gonna do it because it's a trend, but like for the sake of it being the trend. Like you wanna be able to send it to friends and then be like, yeah, this is a good song. You know, you want that, you want it to be a good song, but you don't wanna go into it being like, what's gonna chart, what's gonna do the most numbers, what's trending right now.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much, Trevor, for coming by.
Course.
Once again,
Thanks
this is the KCR College Radio. This is SaidTheSky.
Thanks, guys.
Peace out.